Hey guys, Kayak Fishing Carl. I'm in my garage on a stormy April evening. I'm gonna put the new Boondocks USA Groovy landing gear onto my 2021 Hobie Outback. You guys noticed the snazzy duds I got on their team, the Boondocks USA support team. So I'm super happy with that. We got a wicked black t-shirt, fancy trucker cap. You guys, I don't usually wear trucker caps, but I actually like this one with the mesh back and the snapback on it. And I think I also just got my brand new favorite necky right here. There's a lot of these being worn. They're super popular right now in the days of COVID. So this one's really nice and soft. It's got a nice seam on it. It's a good size. A lot of the other cheap ones, some cheap ones, this isn't a cheap one. This is a really nice one. It's got nice seams on it. A lot of other ones don't fit me very well. I've got a big head. No jokes, please. But you guys can see I got a wicked pack of gear stuff from them. So not only did I get some snazzy duds, I got a whole big pack of stickers. You guys, I shot earlier, showed you guys the video aluminum rudder, ODC rudder. You can kind of see it right there underneath the Outback. And I'm going to go ahead and put the landing gear on now. This is the Groovy landing gear. Get that turned off so you guys can hear me and not the furnace. I'm going to do two tricks to make this a lot easier, and I want to show you guys these two little tricks really quickly. I've done a couple videos already of installing these guys. These two tricks make it real simple and easy when it comes time to do your install. So first trick, I'm going to use these rods that you guys can see. They go right inside the hull right there on either side, and the bolts go through and support the arm for the Groovy landing gear right there. So the first thing I did is I threaded both bolts right through there, right through the rod. So what did that do for me? When I was drilling my holes, I made sure that thing's gonna drop in real easy. I'm not gonna have a big fight trying to get the bolts in. So when I did that, first thing I did, these are a 5/16 course bolt. I drilled a 5/16 hole, and I wanted to keep it a real tight hole. I didn't want to go too much bigger. It's a little bit snug. I just went one size bigger just for the room for the threads and a little bit of wiggle room. When these are all in, I'm gonna seal this up with marine goop. That's gonna keep any extra water from getting in there. And I'm gonna put blue Loctite on all the fasteners. So even though the fasteners are stainless and they have lock washers in there, I'm gonna put blue Loctite on them. Red Loctite is a little bit overkill. Red Loctite sometimes needs heat to break it free. So you guys, the other trick that I alluded to but didn't quite explain is I'm doing this right here. You guys see this piece of green wire? It's just a piece of thick electrical wire from like a trailer or a car or something. I ran it, fed it through the hole, pulled it out through the hatch in the back there or wherever it's convenient you can grab it, pulled it out, passed it through one of the holes on this guy. And then the other thing why this is a trick, or what's gonna make this easier, is I just took a 5/16 bolt, cut the head off, and I cut a slot with a hacksaw into it. So what that slot does is lets me get it back out when I wanna remove it, and it doesn't have, there's no head, there's nothing, no shoulder or anything on this bolt, and thread it in just like that. And now when it's time to put this guy in, all I gotta do is make sure that this guy is oriented correctly when it starts going in place, so that stud is gonna go towards the front. Let's see if I can do this in one shot, you guys. I think it flipped over. But all I gotta do now is pull this guy up, pull that stud up in place, grab hold of it. I'll use a pick to kind of orientate everything, and then I'll have my my support rod in place. So I'm not gonna have to flip the kayak over. I'm not gonna have to lay on my back or stand on my head or any of those other stuff. So you guys, I'll cut back to this in a minute when I got this thing in place. It's a little bit fiddly, use a pick to kind of orientate everything, but it's a lot more easy than hanging the boat upside down a few feet off the floor and crawling around in the on your back. So see you guys in a minute. All right guys, I'm back again. So I'm just about ready to pull that backing plate, the other backing plate, just like this one, that's gonna live like this with our bolts through. I made sure everything's correct, so I made sure that my holes are the right size, they're the right distance apart. That's how I check to make sure that they're all the right distance apart on both sides. I did change one thing from my initial shot that I showed you guys, is I moved this wire to the front hole. So the reason I did that is when I'm gonna pull that backing plate in, naturally I'm pulling it, the end I'm pulling on, the other end wants to twist around and trail behind. So that's what I did. So the end that's trailing behind has that stud in it, and I'm gonna lift it up and pop it into here. So this pick, you guys see me gesturing with, this is just a cheap straight pick from like Princess Auto, one of those with the aluminum handle. I'm gonna use that to manipulate that backing rod once it's in here to get the stud to come up on this side, and then I'll be able to grab it and hold it in place with the wire and unthread it and put my first bolt through my Groovy landing gear, the shoulder, and hold that guy in place, and then that'll hold my backing plate in place, and you guys should see that makes it pretty quick and easy. A lot easier than crawling around on the floor or trying to stand on your head to reach inside the kayak. So let's see if I can do this actually on camera, how long it's going. So I'm already been talking for a minute and a half. Let's see how long it takes me to do this. So I'm going to pull this guy up. Because that I've only got stud in one side, it wants to tilt, it's heavier on this end, it wants to tilt this guy down, and it wants to kind of bind up over here. So I'm going to use this guy, I'm going to follow that wire, I'm going to put it into the threaded hole where the wire is going through, and I can already see my stud is just off to this corner of the back side of the hole. So I'm going to use this pick just to manipulate this guy to kind of line that guy up. Here he comes. And the other thing I want to kind of do that'll make this a little quicker and easier is if I keep some pressure on it, see if I can get it. Bloop, just like that. Trying to keep it the same length or the same distance down kind of helps it line everything up. So now I can just hang on to the wire. I can take that stud out. My backing plate's not going anywhere as long as I'm holding on to this guy. I'm gonna throw my my backing plate, or sorry, my the Groovy landing gear base in there. I'm gonna throw one of my bolts through to and start threading it in to that stud. Sorry, to the backing plate there, or the backing rod. So it's far enough that it's not gonna fall down. I can take my wire, feed it all the way back inside the kayak, undo the wire, and put the other stud on this side. I'll wait till everything's in place and I got everything lined up before I tighten everything down and put Loctite on it. And that's it. That's just how much easier it is to do this guy using that little trick. So hopefully you guys could hear me over the furnace running in the background there. I'll show you guys a couple shots when I got everything together and it's all buttoned up, and I got some Boondock stickers on there making it look badass. All right, see you guys in a second. All right guys, got the Boondocks USA landing gear, Groovy landing gear all rigged up on the 2020 on the right. You guys can see I've got my 2016 with the original style landing gear on there. Let's take a quick look at the differences. Obviously, the Groovy landing gear gets its name from the fact that it's got more grooves. So you guys can see that on here. We got grooves on 4 sides. That makes it easier to mount this guy. We've also got a groove running down the middle of the bar, the support bar that goes in the middle. So this thing has all kinds of possibilities for mounting options. So anywhere that you can put like a screwball or a bolt with a 1/4 inch track, like anything that uses track hardware can attach to this guy. So lots of options there. You guys can see just before my snow blowers in the background there. I already have mine set up with a zigzag cleat for my anchor line there. So that guy has already got a home on the track. Compared to, there we see the original landing gear, which the bar in the middle, the support bar, doesn't have any kind of track, so you'd have to find a way to clamp onto that guy. The landing gear itself, you can see on this side, there's a shallow groove on one side and a longer groove on the inside there. So I had to move my zigzag cleat to the inside a little bit, kind of closer to the seat there. So those are that's the main differences. The arms have a different shape going into the supports, or the shoulders there that kind of hold them on the boat. So if we see the original is an arm there with just a pin kind of welded on one side. Works great, pretty simple. Only one way it can go in. I'm gonna throw this guy actually on this side. This capture the action over here. And the Groovy landing gear, as you guys can see, has a square shoulder on the top of the arm. I have these marked so it's easier to pop them in left and right so I don't get mixed up and put them on the wrong side. You guys, the next thing you guys can notice there is the tire. So the arms are pretty close to the same length. Let me reposition the camera here a little bit there. Sorry for the shakiness, guys. There we go. So you guys can probably see the difference. The tires, the older one, I also have, there we go, got that guy in the shot. Must just have been the kit that I got. I bought this set used from another kayaker that I know. There's extra room in there to add the wider tire or beach tires or whatever. So these are the solid tires. They do try and float a little bit. So when you're trying to put them on the water or trying to deploy them on the water, so you're about to go out of the water, they are a little bit floaty. So they try and they resist you trying to put them down into the water to kind of support the kayak on. So it can be a little bit tricky to deploy, but not that difficult, and definitely nowhere near as difficult to get into place as the dreaded scupper cart. So scupper cart, you guys probably know my tale of woe already with the scupper cart. I actually destroyed the hull on my 2016. That's why it has some strange kind of hatch in the back there. It's from having to repair the hull in a really, really tight spot. So it's actually work in progress. I've repaired it twice now. Got my fingers crossed that I got it fixed. If it's not fixed, she's going into the ice one more time, and it won't have scupper holes in the back anymore. That'll just be, I'll fill them in with foam and weld them over, plastic weld them over. So anyways, back to where I was. Sorry, that little tangent there. So the new wheels, however, you guys notice they're hollow. So this is actually like a rubber tread on the outside, really grippy. So you guys can see it's got that raised tread. So it should be really fairly grippy, but it's hollow. And if we actually look at the backside, you guys can see even these spokes, they're not solid all the way, they're undercut. So I think this is gonna be much easier to deploy on the water when I'm ready to come off the water, because I don't think these are gonna float nearly as much. So I'm anxious to put this through its paces and see how it goes. So you guys, that's kind of it. That's, yeah, the Boondocks USA landing gear is a little bit of a pricey addition, but it's not that bad when you consider the other parts of the kayak or the parts of the fishing experience, just how expensive they all are. So, I mean, your fish finder is not a cheap component. So I will be adding a fish finder to this boat probably tomorrow, as a matter of fact. And it wasn't cheap either. So, yes, taking the camera. You guys you gotta decide where to spend your money to make your life easier. The one thing I will say is I will never use a cart that goes in through the scupper holes again. After the damage that I caused to this bike, my goodness. Sorry, to this kayak in the scupper hole there, where that other white hatch is. I'll never, that was from the Hobie scupper cart. I'll never use a scupper type cart ever again. So you guys, there we go. There's the original landing gear of 2016, and there's the new Boondocks USA Groovy landing gear. I'm so happy to have this. I'm so happy to represent this company. You guys, by the way, if you want to get 10% off your order to Boondocks, you guys, there's a 10% off code right there. Just ball, B-A-L-L, 10% off your next order. So you guys, that's it for me. Thanks for checking out my video tonight. It's a dark, cold, and rainy April evening where I am. You guys, that's Kayak Fishing Carl saying, I hope I see you guys on the water. Wear your PFDs. Keep your line in the water. Thanks, guys. See you later.